born in China in 1958, the beginning of the Great Leap Forward, and you were in China for
26 years.
26 years. Tell me a little bit about your experience dealing with communism face to face.
Starting with I was born, my mom told me after 56 days, I don't know why government determined maternity leave is 56 days. So after 56 days, I was put in boarding school because my parents were sent to make stills and the political activities. They were never home. They couldn't take care of me. I was in the boarding school until I was 8 years old and start first grade. So that's my first taste of communism because there's no family. And I didn't experience mother's love and father's hug because they were not allowed. Soon after I was born, it was a great famine during 60, 61, 62, and we were starving. And also as a little kid, we have to participate in collecting scrap metals, actually just break down ready-made products like pots and pans, doorknobs, and to melt it down, pretend to be a product of steels to meet the quota the government set up. We live on campus in China where you get housing where you work. My mother was a university professor, so we live on a university campus. All the sports grounds are turned into production ground for steels, and then the professors and students and make some kind of thermos. I don't know. They didn't even understand how to do that, and burn all the trees. First, all the trees are cut down to burn, and then all the chairs and tables all burned to melt down those steels and then get a lump, and they will drum and dance and sing, march on the street, say, yeah, we got 10 kilo, whatever, steel. Mao said God didn't make the world perfect, so men have to make it better, and men will definitely make it better. So, for example, as a communist soldier at a very young age, we were ordered to kill all the birds in China because the birds will eat the crops and human beings will have less to eat. So we were put on the rooftop, on the tree to make noise, so won't let the birds rest. And the birds were all eliminated that way. And but the backfired. In the coming season, the insects, especially locusts, just all over China and destroyed all the crops. And 3 years of famine. And of course, the government called it natural disaster, but it was totally man-made disaster because of the decision to kill all the birds.
What a disaster. So you were immersed in the failures of central planning from day one.
Yes. And actually, Mao's slogan is, human being will fight the nature and win. So actually it's fighting God. God didn't make the world perfect, so we as a human being, we have to fight and make the world better. That's his principle.
Yeah.
So one thing I did I always remember was in the countryside, there's river going through villages, and people's livelihood is around the rivers. They use that for drinking water, to wash, and to irrigate fields. And of course, rivers are not straight, a windy river. And the government said, this river takes too much land, so let's make the river straight, dug a new river, and so we can get more land. So I was part of the labor and dug day and night. So we got a straight river bed, and that day when everybody was celebrating, and they blocked the old river, like the water goes through the new river. I think after a few meters, water disappeared because the land was dry and the water just sucked down. And the old river, the bottom was sand. So it couldn't be used for agriculture. So not just wasting the labor and the new land, and also waste the old river. And after that, the whole area had no water. We couldn't have any water to eat. We can dig. We did the wells, but because that area was so rich in mineral, the water from the well, when we cooked the rice turned gray or green. Yeah. So we couldn't drink it, but people still did it, and so a lot of people just died.
You were telling me a story earlier about Mao's decision that in the mountains of China you would grow rice.
Right.
And you can't grow rice in the mountains.
You're right, because it was hilly landscape, and the soil was very clicky. And when you have water, it became very sticky, so you couldn't grow rice. But Mao said you couldn't grow anything but rice because we're on the south of Yangtze River. And so we have to make the terraces because not much land there. That's why a lot of people go now sightseeing to the terraces. They thought it was beautiful. For me, I just hate it because so much work to put into it. Some mountains have nothing. It was easier. Some have trees and bamboos. We have to cut them down and put the rocks away and making terraces. And there's water. Terraces grow rice need water, but they're on the mountains. So we have to carry water on our backs, going up, dumping into the field, endless trips every day, hundreds of times to soak the land, the soil. What happened was because the soil was virgin, there's not enough nutrient in there, and it was not, naturally it's not good for rice, not enough water. So we end up putting more seeds in there than we harvest. And then the government said, okay, the problem is you don't plant enough. Single cropping become double cropping, become 3 times a year. And the soil was just refused, and it becomes so hard. What we did, they ordered all of us, especially kids, we just go into this field, the terraces, and we hold hands, we step on the soil until it's become soft. We go in line back and forth, and step on the soil. And then we plant. Still didn't produce anything. The farmer at the end of the year, because the government also gave us quota, the quota was determined by the central government, by somebody fabricated the number, so that was ridiculously high. So what happened to the farmers, they give everything they produce to the government, they still not enough, so they owe the government. And in order to eat, they have to borrow from the government the food they produce to eat. And usually a family have a big wok filled with water and put 1 handful of rice to make a soup. I remember I could count how many grain of rice in my 1 bowl of soup. So you just drink that all day long. At the end of the day, little leftover, you feed the pig. The pig was also very, very skinny. So that's the peasants. And I thought to myself, they are the producers, the supplier of the livelihood of the country. If they are this poor, where all these food come from? And I can tell, even I was living in the village, I could tell the whole country was starving, because that's reality. My brother will go to the fields and find holes, and they know there's mice, rats, and they will capture them and eat it. We ate everything that didn't kill us. Yeah, I refused to eat rat, but my brother, he was a growing boy. He was so hungry. They ate it. And go to the pond, get the snails and frogs. I was very good at cooking frogs. And yeah, we ate everything that didn't kill us. The tree bark, tree leaves, the grass. I knew all the grass witches at the
Friedrich Hayek has this phrase, the pretense of knowledge. And then later his final book was The Fatal Conceit. You're talking about a communist dictator that not only wanted to redesign the economy, he wanted to re-engineer the earth.
Yes. Yes, that's the most strongest slogan.
Yeah.
In Chinese, we say 人定胜天, people will definitely win over God.
Wow. Yeah. So let's take a step back. You said something that I think people will find unbelievable, but it was a key part of your life. You didn't grow up with your parents. You were sent to boarding school because a key premise of the Cultural Revolution was that the family didn't matter anymore. The state was now the family. Am I saying that correctly?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because when we were little, we have to learn songs. We have to sing every day, say, mother's dear, father's dear, but nothing more dear than the Communist Party. So they're greater than your mother and your father. And dear Chairman Mao, that's the song we have to sing every single day. So family doesn't matter. The party and Chairman Mao is more dear to us than the family. So we should always put their benefit and their interests ahead of ourselves, our families, our parents, or our children.
And the purpose of that was to dehumanize people.
Yes.
They may not have said it that way, but it was to make sure that those loyalties didn't exist anymore, that people didn't care about each other, and that they felt one obligation, and that was to Mao.
Yes. For example, it's funny at the wedding, and the people don't say, I love you, or vow to stay together and for better, for worse, whatever. Is say, okay, now we vow our loyalty to Chairman Mao and party and country. That's their wedding vow. And people don't matter. Their relationship don't matter as long as you love the party and the country. Actually, still now, it's not just Cultural Revolution. It came back. It's still the same. I am very thankful that we didn't become crazy. Many of our relatives became crazy, even until today. They're afraid of so many things. They're traumatized. And just things, all the people were really, really creative of humiliating other people or torture. There's so many different forms of torture. And many of my family members couldn't take it anymore. They commit suicide, so many. The youngest one was 16 years old, a beautiful young girl. Yeah, she killed herself. My favorite cousin killed himself, and his mother also killed herself, all different ways, threw herself in front of the train, and the cousin was jumped from the chimney after drinking a lot of lime water. And all different ways, they couldn't take it. They didn't understand what is going on.
So many Americans have this gauzy, almost romantic view of socialism and communism. They probably don't believe you right now. They're probably saying that can't possibly be true.
It happened. Even Chinese people, they criticized me. I said, well, I did not read from anywhere. I lived through. That's my personal life. I sang those songs. I participated in those kind of weddings. I did all my labor work forced by the government. Yeah, I did all. I lived through that. I watched people die on the street of starvation. When we were sitting in the house eating dinner, very, very simple dinner without much anything, people just walk into the house, our house, and sit there, say, "You have to share your food with me because we're dying." And that's how we lived.